During my high school and college years, I went on a lot of first dates. I mean, a lot of first dates, and a few rare second dates. I think that all of this experience helped me to better understand my own personality. That is, what things I like and what things I don't like, and what types of people I'm compatible with. This made it so that when I first started getting to know my wife, I was able to see really quickly how perfect we were for each other. She and I met in an auditioned performing choir in college, where we sang with each other for about 6 months before we ever started hanging out more closely. But when we did start spending time with each other during the summer after our choir tour ended, our compatibility became apparent very quickly. So quickly, in fact, that we were engaged within 5 or 6 months, and we were married just 5 weeks later. Now, I understand that by most people's standards, this time frame seems really fast, and I would generally agree. In other words, I would not recommend such a fast dating and engagement time frame for most people. However, for us, it worked out perfectly, and I would never change a thing. We were married at a very young age, relatively speaking, and will soon be celebrating our 19th anniversary. Now, one of the things that I found most attractive about her was that she does not communicate in code. Now, sometimes some people will say A in the hope that you will think B and then do C. I call this communicating in code. My wife does not do this. If she wants me to do or think C, then she simply says C, instead of saying A in the hope that I will think B and then in some convoluted way eventually do C. However, although she is clear in the way she communicates, she is never abrasive. She does not raise the volume or tone of her voice in anger. That's not what clarity means. She simply says exactly what she means so that there is no mystery or misunderstanding. Now, that ability to seamlessly communicate has been one of the essential bedrocks of our relationship. Another is our friendship. My wife and I are best friends. I strongly recommend building your marriage with friendship as one of its foundations rather than something more superficial. I really like being with my wife, talking with her and sharing thoughts, hopes, and dreams and ideas with her. If marriage is a lifelong conversation, and in some ways it kind of is, then it helps for that conversation to be with your best friend. She is also a phenomenal carpenter. As the daughter of a professional builder, my wife grew up learning and gaining skills in building as a kid. She has accordingly built much of the furniture in our home. Her building skills are incredible. Now, she uses these skills outside of our home in many different venues, the most common of which is in our local community theater. Having grown up performing and loving high school theater, my wife told me during our grad school years together that she hoped to one day participate proactively in community theater if the opportunity ever arose, once my years of schooling were behind us. After 16 months of postdoctoral work, I received the offer for my current job as a university professor in a very small rural community that I had never previously visited. The offer was so perfect that I accepted it, but my dear wife worried deeply that our future community's small population and size would mean that she would never be able to do theater again. Thankfully, that has turned out to be incorrect. To our great surprise, theater is one of the central cultural anchors of our small community, which has one local stage theater, a separate outdoor theater troupe that puts on a large annual production, and a very proactive high school theater program which wins awards every year. My wife has consequently acted on stage in so many plays and musicals that I have lost track, and for many productions for which she is not on stage, she still uses her carpentry and building skills to make props behind the scenes for the plays. Our garage ends up being a regular workshop for her frequent projects. Now, separate from this, my wife is also a wonderful mother. She deeply loves, nurtures, and cares for our kids. For personal reasons that I will not explain here, my wife gave birth to our last 2 children without any anesthetic, no painkiller, not even Tylenol. That process of bringing our children into this world was very painful for each one of them, of course. But she never yelled or swore at me during labor like you often see in television shows. Now, don't get me wrong, she actually did yell in pain, but never at me. For all of these many reasons, and many more that are too large to list here, my wife is one of my greatest heroes, and I'm so deeply grateful for her. For any of you who have benefited from my chemistry videos, please understand that without her, I never would have become what I have become, and my chemistry videos would not exist. I once heard someone say, when you face problems as a married couple, you can either let those problems drive a wedge between you and pull you apart, or you can team up with each other and then face and conquer those problems together head on. In other words, you can kind of view each problem that arises as a final boss from a video game and then team up together with each other to defeat and fight against it. If you adopt this team attitude, then problems can bring you closer together over time instead of driving you further apart. We have taken this approach most of the time through most of our problems. As a result, it seems like every year that goes by, we love each other even more deeply than we did the year before. Romantic shows and sitcoms sometimes suggest that lasting relationships can be built on superficial things, such as liking the same movies, music, hobbies, food, TV shows, and other things like that. Frankly, these things are all superficial and are not what is most important in the long run. In the long run, it is the deep and long-lasting things that matter. Ultimate compatibility comes when your long-term goals are in alignment, not less important things like your tastes in entertainment. For example, if you have always wanted to live in the country, but your spouse has always wanted to live in a densely populated city, and both of you are completely unwilling to compromise on this, then that is a compatibility problem. Alternatively, if you have always wanted to have lots of kids, but your spouse does not, then that is also a compatibility problem. Not liking the same genre of movies or music is probably of little consequence in the long run, but being incompatible in the deep, non-negotiable things of life, such as your life goals and deeply held values, might be fatal for your relationship. Thus, if you begin dating someone seriously, I advise you to focus on things that really matter, instead of on things that are fleeting, superficial, or are ultimately unimportant in the long run. Thankfully for me and my wife, the non-negotiable things are completely compatible, and figuring this out quickly is one of the things that propelled us to get married so fast while maintaining a solid, long-lasting relationship thereafter. For everything that she does for me and our kids, from helping them to get ready for school every morning, to spending countless hours at home teaching them, to feeding us and cleaning our home, to providing a listening ear to me to share my daily woes and problems, to being a powerful example of the kind of person that I want our children to become, along with her beauty, grace, and smile which lights up the entire room. I'm grateful for my wife. I absolutely adore her every molecule, and I'm thankful for each moment that we have together. I wish that everyone could be as happy as we are. I assume that many of you are, and if so, that is awesome. For those who are not, please do not despair. I promise that things can get better. Except in the most extreme cases, I believe that most relationships can be mended by using a little bit of humility, saying sorry to each other, forgiving each other, and engaging in patient, clear communication. Not angry or loud communication, mind you, just clear communication. And for any of you who are not in a relationship but want to be, my advice is to keep working to try to make yourself the kind of person that you would want to be with. And to be honest, most of that process involves polishing stuff on the inside, and then keep proactively putting yourself out there to search for your special someone. I know that the road is sometimes fraught with difficulty and challenge, but I have absolute confidence that you can and will succeed. And I promise that when you eventually do, it will be worth it. Thanks a lot for watching. Please have an enjoyable rest of your day.